Hello. This is Antje from Byte Shuffle. Thank you for always watching our videos. This time, I've put together a summary on how to navigate the Cori tempo matchup when playing 4-color Doomsday, as well as considerations for sideboarding. There's also a link to the pile breakdown video in the description, so feel free to check it out. Here is the deck list we will be using this time. Starting this time, I'm going to try out 4-color Doomsday. The deck list is based on one used by Wakame from around the world. The reason for going multicolor is that with just Doomsday, it was hard to consistently win against tempo. The advantages of going 4-color are twofold. First, you can fully utilize Tamiyo, Inquisitive Student at full power. Second, with Teferi Time Reveler in the main deck, having him on the battlefield means you can win without being disrupted by your opponent. This hand looks like it can go all in early, so I'll keep it. I'll dig for a land. I stacked the cards in the order: Doomsday, Surveil land, fetch land, then drew. The target of Mishra's Bauble is me. Since they're playing around days, I'll hold off and take a look with the Surveil land first. With 2 dark rituals in hand, I'm going to try breaking through with back-to-back Doomsdays. My opponent cast Ponder and chose not to shuffle before drawing. I'm going all in. From here, I'll increase the mana needed for the combo. I'll counter it with Days. There's no clock on my opponent's board. Since the deck I'm using is 4-color, it only includes the minimum number of cyclers. Because of that, to play around my opponent's removal, I need to pass the turn twice before casting Thassa's Oracle. Since I'm passing 2 turns anyway, I might as well build a pile that also plays around my opponent's counterspells. First, I'll include all the cyclers in the deck. To make up for the lack of cyclers, I'll pad the pile with Consider. I'll fill the remaining slots with Cavern of Souls and Thassa's Oracle. I built the pile in the order: Thassa's Oracle, Cavern of Souls, Edge of Autumn, Street Wraith, Consider. The target of Mishra's Bauble is me. I'll begin working through the pile with Consider. And this is where the adventure comes to an end. Before sideboarding, I'd like to review the list we used. First, the conclusion. I will explain it step by step. Here are the cards in Cori tempo that can impact Doomsday. First of all, since the opponent is a tempo deck with a mana denial strategy, I think there's no doubt that Carpet of Flowers is a solid inclusion. Next, I'll take out the mana acceleration cards. That's because this time, I'm going with a control-oriented game plan. Since the plan is to slow the opponent down and develop my lands before going off, mana acceleration becomes less valuable in this matchup. Next, I'll bring in Barrogoyf. This is because it serves both as a way to stabilize and as a potential finisher. I'll also add some additional removal. My strategy is to slow the opponent down by thoroughly removing their threats. Since the strategy is built around spot removal, Cori-Steel Cutter, which generates card advantage for the opponent, often ends up being a key card in the matchup. At this point, Hydroblast and Blue Elemental Blast become especially important cards. Also, since this deck is structurally weak to the occasional Blood Moon, the ability to counter it is another reason these cards are highly valued. As for the cards I'll side out, I'll cut those that are specialized for working through the pile. That's because the deck isn't built for a streamlined combo structure, so the top priority is to slow down the opponent's pace. Once I've taken control with my removal, I can follow up with cards like Tamiyo, Inquisitive Student, and use Teferi Time Reveler to maintain control. That's the game plan I'll be aiming for. Next, while I don't have any sideboard cards specifically to bring in against Force of Will, Days, or Force of Negation, The reason is that I already have 3 copies of Veil of Summer in the main deck, which provides ample coverage against those counterspells. Next, as for Stifle and Consign to Memory, once I've fully taken control of the game, I'll cast Doomsday. By including Teferi Time Reveler in the pile and aiming to win as soon as he lands, I can effectively ignore those cards. Alternatively, I can aim to win with Barrogoyf, allowing me to ignore those cards as well. Lastly, regarding Pyroblast, many of my key cards can be taken out by this single spell. Because of that, Force of Will often loses its impact in the matchup, so I reduce the number of copies. I've got both lands and disruption, and it looks like I can trip up my opponent's early plays, so I'll keep this hand. I'll dig for a land. I stacked the cards in the order: Barrogoyf, Brainstorm, dual land, then drew. Both Mishra's Bauble and Urza's Bauble target me. Since the land that produces white mana is more valuable, I played the one that produces black mana first. I'll dig for a land. I stacked the cards in the order: Force of Will, fetch land. I'll dig for a land. The Surveil effect left the card on top of the library. Since there's no clock on the opponent's side, there's no need to rush. I'll pass the turn with counterspells up to play around Daze and prepare for my opponent's Cori-Steel Cutter. I'll counter it with Hydroblast. I'll back it up with Veil of Summer. From here, I'm going to start making my move. I'll cast Barrogoyf while playing around Daze. I'll remove Murktide Regent. I'll cast Veil of Summer in response. Looks like I'll have plenty of mana, so I'll keep this hand. They might be holding up Stifle, but statistically, Pyroblast seems more likely, so I'll lead with Carpet of Flowers. I'll dig for a land. I stacked the cards in the order: Barrogoyf, Daze, dual land, then drew. From here, I'm going to start making my move. I'll counter it with Daze. I'll counter it with Daze. My opponent is down to 1 card in hand, and since they pitched Consign to Memory earlier, it's unlikely they still have Daze. I flipped Tamio off Brainstorm and won in 3 turns, just like Death Sentence 3. Lastly, I have an announcement. I'm posting the concepts behind the images used in my videos, as well as small flavor-inspired stories, in the YouTube community section. Additionally, I'm selling merch for the channel through the link in the description. If you're interested, be sure to check it out. Thank you for watching up to this point. I apologize for the many play mistakes. I hope to improve at MTG together with everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving it a thumbs up. See you next time. This is Antya.